If you're living in Kansas City or thinking about moving to Kansas City, we're about to see several huge upgrades over the course of 2023 and the next decade. In this video, we're going to break down the top 5 changes coming to Kansas City. And if you stick around until the end, we'll cover a bonus number 6. So I have to put this as number 1. It's certainly very timely. This is Chiefs Kingdom. I mean, they have solidified themselves as a dynasty in the NFL. And this isn't to start anything. It's not to talk trash or rub salt in the wounds of anybody who's a Bengals fan or a Philly fan. Those were excellent games. It was certainly a pleasure to watch. And it makes it fun to support the Chiefs, where we're playing really good competitors. But in the backdrop of all of this, why the Chiefs make living in Kansas City that much better is because we're so divided these days. But politically, financially, any way that you want to put it, there's a lot of division across the country. But when everybody's able to rally around and support one cause like the Chiefs, it bridges all of those divides. I mean, you can walk around anywhere in the metro, and if you say go Chiefs, somebody's going to tell you go Chiefs right back to you 90% of the time. And 50% of the time, they're probably going to have a Chiefs shirt on. So it's very nice to feel part of a tight-knit community that, even though has very different opinions, different backgrounds, has one thing in common to support, and the Chiefs have played a big part in procuring that. The second part of this point is that the NFL draft, it's coming here to Kansas City. It'll be at Union Station in the World War I Memorial and Museum, April 27th through 29th. It's totally free. It'll bring a lot of visitors and travel to the area, lots of commerce to downtown Kansas City, and it certainly puts the metro area on the map for many other people who might be considering moving here. You know, of course, the draft is free, so if you can stomach being in a really big crowd of people with a lot of loud music and energy, absolutely go out there and take advantage of it. They'll have several different activities to partake in, and again, you get to be part of the community that is tight-knit and rallied around one cause. Number 2 is exactly how everybody's going to get here for that NFL draft, which is the new terminal at KCI. This is a long time in the making. The old horseshoe-shaped terminals, there was A, B, and C. There were 3 of them. The new terminal takes the spot of the previous Terminal A, and the other 2 will be demoed shortly following it. It recently opened in the past week or so, and this is a huge deal that is shaking up travel in and out of Kansas City, as well as commerce in the metro area. Now, keep in mind, this is so important because the previous airport terminals were constructed and built in the late 1900s and like the 1970s. The problem is that since 9/11, airport infrastructure and security has changed the way that we travel. So we had those old terminals that were inefficient, outdated, didn't have a lot of amenities, parking was far away, not many restaurants or places, things that you could do in the terminal if you had a layover, made traveling just a drag. It wasn't too bad, but it'll be improved so much by this new terminal. Parking very close to the airport, you won't have to get a shuttle. There are so many amenities and restaurants that you'll find here, but it sounds like, and it looks like, based on some renderings and what I've seen so far, they took a lot of time to bring cultural staples from the Kansas City area into the airport, which means we're not only speeding up travel and getting rid of the inefficient system we had before, we're making it easier for people to come to Kansas City, do business here. We're making it easier for people in Kansas City to go out, travel, do their work outside of Kansas City. It's just a huge upgrade for life in Kansas City. Now, keep in mind, this is a $1.5 billion project. A lot of work went into this, and as a result, it'll be really interesting to see the true impact that this has on the metro area over time. Number 3 is the Panasonic battery plant that's going into DeSoto, Kansas. This is one of a large string of employers that are choosing to set up shop in Kansas City, the Kansas City metro area, because the operating costs are lower and because they like the value of the location, right? We're seeing this trend of leases and just maintaining warehouse space, and other parts of the country is just getting so expensive. Like think of how many employers moved out of California, moved to Arizona, Texas, etc. This is part of that trend, and them setting up shop here in Kansas Kansas City is more than just the benefits we'll see from that plant. It symbolizes a broader trend of commerce making its way here to the metro area. Now, this plant specifically will not be up and running until what they're projecting to be March of 2025. Here are some renderings so you can get an idea of it. They're anticipating employing about 4,000 people, and most likely these are going to be, the bulk of them are high-skilled positions, high-skilled, high-paying labor, attracting some incredible talent to the Kansas City area, putting incredible talent that we have here in Kansas City to good work. And now the plant will be used to create batteries for electric vehicles. And regardless of how you feel about electric vehicles, love them or hate them, I get that it's political, but we're not going to take a stance in this video. It's going to bring positive benefits to the Kansas City area. And I think it'll be very interesting to see what those benefits look like and how they grow and manifest over the next several years. Number 4 is that we have the first women's soccer stadium in the entire country being built in downtown Kansas City. Here's a picture of where it'll be located. It is north next to the Kansas River. It'll be 7 acres of land that is leased for about 50 years. The whole project will cost just under $120 million. Regardless of how you feel about it, it will certainly bring benefits to downtown Kansas City and the entire Kansas City metro. It also positions Kansas City as the soccer capital of the world, which is Kansas City's slowly been rising to that stature. But the problem has been that a lot of publications have said that this is self-proclaimed. But despite this, there are a lot of infrastructure for youth soccer in Kansas City. And now this is another symbol of Kansas City kind of taking the charge and being an innovator and a leader when it comes to soccer across the country. Now, not only will the stadium be used for, professional women's soccer games, but I assume that it'll also be used for other events that bring commerce and benefits to the Kansas City metro as a whole. But this is another big deal because I think we'll probably see some type of knock-on effect in which Kansas City gets to be the leader and gets to develop a model that other states and other cities with women's soccer teams start to follow. Now, I know 2 of these have been sports so far, but we're not done yet. If anything, what you're probably taking away from this is that lots of stuff happening in the Kansas City metro that is sports related. And again, it all goes back to that first one with the Chiefs. Sports are something that bridge divides. They allow the whole community to rally around one cause and ignore otherwise divisive factors. Now, number 5 is that the Royals within the next decade are going to be moving to downtown Kansas City. And again, we have the same kind of effect of the Chiefs being good, everybody rallies around one cause, ignores all of the things that would otherwise divide us and instead brings us together. That takes place too. And we're also touching on the previous one, which is the KC Current Stadium. It's a new piece of infrastructure, adds value to the Kansas City metro, and overall makes living here a better experience. This is the third benefit of this is a $2 billion project. The amount of jobs, the amount of commerce and benefits that this brings to Kansas City on its own, just building the stadium alone, is incredible. Now, the lease on the land that Kauffman Stadium currently sits on is up in 2030. So sometime within now and then, they're going to make that move. Most likely it's going to happen sooner than later, but obviously it's going to take some time for that stadium to be built. Now, not only will this make the experience of going to see the Royals so much more enjoyable with more amenities, it'll probably be more streamlined and it'll be a new experience, but it also breathes life into the franchise that has otherwise been dwindling in support over the past couple of years. Very, very many benefits for this one, and we're going to move on to that bonus, which of course, I'm not done with the sports. We've got the World Cup in 2026. I know we already talked about how Kansas City is slowly becoming the soccer capital of the world. Well, that is also true since the World Cup. Several of the games will be played here at Arrowhead Stadium, one of the loudest stadiums in the entire NFL. That's where the games will take place. Kansas City happens to be one of several cities around the country that will host the World Cup right here in the United States in 2026. And by the way, if you live in Kansas City and you've seen how many Airbnbs we already have and what situation that's creating, just imagine by the time that the World Cup rolls around, something like 60% of Kansas City, Missouri will just be Airbnbs. You never know. It's going to bring a lot of commerce here. It's going to be good for a lot of of reasons, brings more value, attention to the Kansas City metro area. Now, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, comment with any big changes that you know about in Kansas City that I haven't touched on here. I'll make a whole separate video based on those. Hit that subscribe button for all things Kansas City real estate, property tours, market updates, everything in between. And of course, if you're moving to Kansas City, maybe you live in Kansas City, you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Kansas City suburbs, I'd love to help. All of my contact info is in the description. Give me a call, text, email. We'll talk about where you're at and we'll set you up for success. Thanks for watching the video. I will see you on the next one.